Okay, you're not going crazy. It is Tuesday. I normally put my videos out Monday, but I'm actually switching to Wednesday. But that is absolutely not what I want to talk about this week anyway. I want to talk about a recent stuff up that I had. And also, I want to invite you to a little challenge for February. But before I do, I have a quick question for you. My question is this. If I said to you, what do you do for fun every week? Is that something that you would be able to answer? And let me give you a bit of context why I'm asking. I do an annual needs review every year. I've been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years. I go through and I look at all my needs and I say, okay, what did I have trouble meeting last year? Where are the gaps? Where have I been neglecting different parts of myself? And one thing that I noticed was that I was falling way, way behind in my fun needs. It stood out like a sore thumb. You know, they were just missing. They weren't there. There were a couple of little bits that were like, oh yeah, that's cool. But it was sad. It was just a sad existence, my fun needs. And it hit me, right? Because this is the work. I am the work. I teach this stuff. I teach about needs and boundaries, and I sit with women every week that have lost touch with themselves. And I think in between of, building my business and working in that heavy um, emotional spaces, in trauma-based and that sort of thing, and just living life and doing all the admin of life like everyone else, I realize that I've kind of lost touch with what's fun for me anymore, you know? So, this is something that it's not a teaching video. It is something me walking through this with you in real time because this is something that I'm going through as well. And one of the things that I've noticed in this space is that, yeah, a lot of women are really trained to put fun at the bottom of their needs list. They're and it's not on purpose. It's absolutely not on purpose. I mean, we all love to have fun. We all love to have joy and a laugh and all the rest of it. But it's something that's part of our conditioning, I think. And it's hard. Like it's something that we've always been told to carry this load. We carry the mental load, we carry the emotional load, where the organizer, the planner, the mother, um, the family member, the one who thinks ahead, who holds everything together, and all of a sudden, fun becomes something that you're meant to earn. Like it's a reward that you get once everything else is done. You've ticked all your boxes on your list. But the problem is that you're never going to tick all the boxes off your list, right? There's always going to be something. There's always going to be someone that needs you. There's always going to be someone that, um, you're putting as a priority higher than yourself. So, what happens in that space? Your fun gets postponed and then it gets forgotten. And then one day, like me, you sit and you realize that you don't even know what is fun for you anymore, you know? And that bit matters because when you've been in this responsibility mode for such a long time, your system goes to this space where it just adapts, you become this efficient machine. You're practical, you'll get stuff done, you're on top of it, you're making things happen. And that part of you that used to play, to explore, to have those adventures and try new things, laugh for no reason, that sort of stuff, it gets quieter and quieter and quieter and quieter. And not because it's gone, not at all, it's because it hasn't felt safe to be supported or to take up space. And I think too, it's because, we get to this place where we we're relying on being there for people, and we've got people relying on us as well. We're building this life where we're holding everyone's stress, we're holding our own stress. We might be in grief or survival mode or financially or emotionally struggling, and fun can start to feel like it's unnecessary in a way, and sometimes even irresponsible. There's that guilt around that. And, you can get these thoughts in your head about, who am I to just drop all my responsibilities and have fun when there's so much to do? We become this human doing rather than a human being. So in that space, what I find a lot of women do is they just keep pushing through, they keep going, they keep handling it, they keep performing in that space of, I'm fine, I've just got to get through this next task and then I can have some time for myself. Um, and they work in that space of, well, after this next bit, after this next bit, after this next bit, and this next bit never comes because that's never in the calendar. We don't schedule that in, we don't book that in. And the other thing that I find really interesting is when I talk with a lot of women, they say, and I ask them about what brings them joy, they'll say things like, oh, my kids, or my family, or my partner, my friends, my work. And sure, that can absolutely be true, but it's not the same as having fun needs that are yours, right? Because when your joy is mostly outsourced, or you're sourcing it through other people or other roles, what happens in the space when you're alone, when you're by yourself? Or, when your relationship becomes hard, or the kids are demanding, or your friends are busy, or your work is stressful, etc., etc., etc. So this is where I see a lot of women start to feel flat, to feel disconnected, to feel bored, restless, sometimes even resentful. It's like they've lost themselves. And I can absolutely relate to that 100%. It's like losing your mojo and trying to find that thing that makes your soul sing. And one of the things about fun is that it helps us stay connected to who we are outside of that person that has to be needed. So let's reframe fun in a healthy way. Yeah. It's not fluff. It's not an indulgence. It's not something that you should be feeling guilty for, or something that you need to earn after you've done a certain amount of things or a certain amount of tasks. And it's definitely not a nice to have. It's not a want. It is a need. It is a need because it reconnects you to your soul, your essence, your aliveness. And that soul essence is not a luxury. It's part of your mental health, your emotional health. And honestly, it's part of your self-respect. And I find that when you're connected to yourself, you choose differently. You tolerate less and you communicate much more clearly in that space. You can stop keeping the peace, shrinking down, and hiding behind responsibilities. And I found that's kind of what I have been doing for a while now. So here's what I'm going to do in February, and I'm inviting you to do it with me. Jump on, tell me in the comments what's fun for you, right? And I'm not going to be chasing big fun. This is about self-discovery. This is about finding what is fun in my life that resonates with me now. And, I'm not going to be in that space of pretending that one big holiday would fix everything. I'm not making it a performance. I'm not making it a big deal. I'm going to do something which I'm calling micro fun, right? What is that? 10 minutes. That's it. Just 10 minutes. Small enough that your brain cannot argue with it. And I'll give you an example of what I mean, okay? So let's say, first off, pick one little thing that used to feel fun, like something that used to be interesting or playful, or even just light, it could be like dancing around the house. It could be sensory. It could be creating something, learning a new skill, or it could even just be being silly for a moment. It might be something that you've been curious about that you've never made time for, or hanging out with a friend where you can just have a belly laugh. Or it could just be something that's just for you. Maybe it's going to get your hair done or your nails done, making you feel like, you could go and do something. I don't know. Everyone's different. So whatever it is for you. Now, the second step I want you to think about is just do it, plan to do it for 10 minutes. That's it. Not an hour, not a big project of put into your schedule, just 10 minutes. And before you do it, rate your energy out of 10. Right. So let's say, okay, before you start, my energy is a 4 out of 10. And then you do your 10 minutes of dancing around the house. What's your energy like after that? And don't overthink it. You don't need to journal it. You don't need to write an essay on it. You don't need to do it right. Okay. It's not about perfectionism in any way, shape, or form. It's just about giving it a go and jumping in. Yeah. Because we're just in this space of February. We're going to collect some data and find out what our fun needs are. Not about pressure. If it feels like pressure, then, take a step, take a breath, and have a think. So what we're trying to work out here is if it kind of lifts you even slightly, then that's a bit of a clue. If it does nothing, then that's a clue as well too. It might mean that, you're depleted and you need something more regulating first. It might mean that the activity that you've chosen isn't fun for you anymore. It might mean that your fun has changed. It's something different. Or you could even be starting from a place that's numb, and that's okay. And I want to say this clearly as well. Your fun might look very different now. I am not the same woman that I was 5 years ago, and I dare say you're probably not either. We're all changing, and when we try and recreate an old version of ourselves, we're not standing to meet that new version that we've grown into, that different energy and that different feel. So, give yourself a little bit of leeway, of lenience in that space, and see what it is that's happening for you with some of these new experiences. And I think over time, over February, we'll do this as a February challenge. Some things you'll find might give you relief, some things might give you energy, some things might make you feel like you're you again, and some things might feel like they just don't resonate anymore, like it's forced, like you're doing something that you probably don't feel right about doing. And that's the whole point of this month. This is about self-discovery. And, the intention, the objective of this is to stop guessing and stop outsourcing and stop waiting for life to calm down and start reintroducing you back to your own life. And if you're thinking, right, Lyndall, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start in any way, shape, or form. Then let's look at maybe some categories that, I don't know, you could explore. So if we think about different things that bring us joy, that make our soul sing, it might be movement. It might be going for a walk somewhere that you love, jumping around, as I said, dancing around with music, dancing in your kitchen, going for a swim, doing some yoga. It could be creative pursuits. Like, what is it that you love to create? Is it writing a book? Is it painting or making something? Do you love to cook? Do you love to bake? Um, is there some sort of sensory fun that you like? Like, is it having a bath? As I said before, getting your hair done or your nails done, petty mani? Is it just sitting out in the sun and connecting with the earth, or gardening, putting your hands in the dirt, walking on grass, listening to music? Um, yeah, like connecting in that space, that sensory space. It might be some mental stimulation that you're looking for. Is it learning something new? Is there some sort of a hobby or a podcast or a rabbit hole that you wanted to go down, or something that you're curious about that you've never thought about before, but something that doesn't need to have an outcome, something that you don't have to learn for your job or your home or your kids or your family, something that you just want to learn for fun. Or maybe it's sort of connection fun, maybe it's catching up with someone who makes you laugh, or just sending a note to a friend, or maybe you sing them happy birthday just as a laugh for a day, or something light and easy. And you know what? Notice what I'm also not saying. Like, I'm not saying go do a full makeover. I'm not saying become a new person. I'm just saying take 10 minutes. Take 10 minutes and see what happens, because we're here to we're here to live as well, right? We're here to live, we're here to experience, and how we do that is through love, through joy. So if you're in for February Fun Finder, let's call it February Fun Finder, comment the word fun and tell me one thing that you used to enjoy that you miss. Even if it feels small, even if it feels silly, something that you haven't done in years. And I'll reply with some sort of micro version that you can try out this week. Okay. And I'll also be sharing through February what I learned, because I'm going to be doing this with you here. So we'll do it together, and let's see what we discover in that fun space so that we can get our fun needs tangible and start actioning them as a priority as everything else, because fun is not optional. It's part of you discovering who you are and coming back to yourself. So much love. I will see you on Wednesdays now. As I said, I know it's Tuesday, but I will see you on Wednesdays, and look after yourself, and we'll talk soon. Bye.